Grand Rising. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of the Female Solution Global Broadcast. I'm Naeem Latif, your host for today. This is a time to look back in history. In 1965, in March, a group of 600 protesters crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, protesting against the injustices of discrimination and segregation. And they were met by state troopers who physically beat them to force them back across the bridge. This incident is known as Bloody Sunday. Well, this has been commemorated every year. And this year, the march across the bridge was a march of triumph as those who gathered in Selma, Alabama, remember the victories that we have won over the decades. Photojournalist Valerie Goodloe was on hand to cover this historic event, traveling with the busloads that left from Chicago to Selma to commemorate that historic march. So she'll be joining us to give us her insight on that experience. We'll be right back. So make sure you share this show, especially for those who need to understand the depth of this history and how it has transformed America. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Yes, this is the Female Solution, and this is Valerie Goodloe. And we thank you for being with us today. This is, I have traveled to Selma. I've been a part of that commemorative march in a few years past, and it is quite something to behold. And of course, we appreciate your giving us an opportunity to share your experience with those who traveled. They left Chicago actually Thursday evening. It was also one of the nights that people gathered to honor Reverend Jackson at the national headquarters of Rainbow Push. And then right after, the busloads left on their way to Selma. So tell us about that. How long was that ride?
Oh, that was a journey. It was, oh my goodness, at least 12 hours. It was quite a ride.
Oh.
It wasn't an easy ride, but there was good people on the bus, so we made the best of it. Sitting up in a bus for 12 hours, I don't care how nice the bus is, it's still a journey. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think the journey was more kind of like reflective of not being at the funeral, not being a part of that. So to be going away from that celebration for me was real difficult. And me being a kind of photojournalist, a documentarian, that felt that I, physically and mentally and spiritually, I wanted to cover that funeral. I had to kind of like reverse my mind into thinking that if Reverend Jackson were alive, or if he had the possibility to do this, he would be on this trip. So that's what I had to do as I was coming, make this trip all about commemorating him, along with the 61 years of past history where he marched across this bridge along with many others, so
Yes.
yeah, it was
Yeah, that was definitely a choice that people made because they had already set that
yes,
date to go. That was
right,
the weekend, the date. I believe the march occurred on March 7th. Uh, and that whole period from 7th through the 25th, they wanted to commemorate those people who did that original march. And then after the march, that first Bloody Sunday, that galvanized the nation. People started coming to Selma, and they were joined by hundreds more who made the point that we are going to end segregation. So that whole process was just so overwhelming. Now people came in from, was it Wisconsin,
Minnesota. I
Minnesota,
think
yeah.
it was Minnesota, and there was some that came from DC, and that was a real pleasant group of people. They're Muslim, and what I liked about them coming, it kind of showed everybody who wasn't Muslim that, that uh, we laugh, we joke, we play around, sing songs, and are part of a community as well. So it was a good trip. I think they really made the trip put on an additional layer of why we were going, because prior to that, I think that month before they had went, Rainbow Push had went to Minnesota because of ICE
Yeah.
and the things that were going on there. So the group there, it's under the Care Foundation. That's a nonprofit organization for Muslims. Are really now totally committed to being a part of Rainbow Push, and Rainbow Push is committed to being a part of their movement as well. So even though there was things that truly happened that were unexpected, like the death of Reverend Jackson, a lot of stuff came out of this that was positive. And really, I think it just shows how powerful Reverend Jackson was, because, see, I knew him when I was in Los Angeles. I used to shoot his birthday parties and other things that he did. And I have some personal stories with with me and him. But he called me his paparazzi photographer, and he knew I hated being called a paparazzi. But he was kind of like a comedian as well. He had a lot of humor, and every time he saw me, that's what he called me. Oh, there's my paparazzi photographer. I said, I told you, Reverend, I didn't know paparazzi. So the whole trip just was about remembering him. And let me say this. I never even heard enough about no Bloody Sunday until maybe just a few years, not even a few years ago, maybe a couple of years ago. During the time of these marches and the civil rights movement, I was in that age group, but I was more of a maybe doing a little gangster stuff. My life was not the same as it is now. So I was a part of the mess and things that had nothing to do with really civil rights and marching forward. The only thing that I did during the civil rights period was wear natural and hold my fist up. That's what I did. I did the power sign, and and I knew that part of it, but the historical parts didn't come until really later. Till I really became a photographer and started really recognizing that this trip here for me was us, Black people, being able to document our history. Because we have all these other events, and you'll see Getty, and you'll see AP, and you'll see all these other people gathering our history. And when something happens, they'll show a Getty picture by somebody who's not one of us. And so what I started doing is really anything that I see that's historical for Black people, it's my duty to cover something that I didn't cover when I really should have maybe been out there marching and protesting. So now I'm trying to do and take care of what I didn't take care of when I was younger. So,
Oh yes.
so the trip had a whole lot of stuff.
Oh yes, well I'm so grateful that you captured it because now we've got the on-air daily news. We got our own Getty right here with Valerie Goodloe, a powerful photojournalist, right there on the grounds, up close and personal, capturing those images. And Yusuf Jackson, I don't know what kind of vitamins that family is taking, but they've been going 24 hours straight.
Hey, well, let me say
And
this.
I
And let me say this about that too. Okay, so I was there from the very beginning in regards to the press conference, the first press conference they had, being at the church for the viewing, for the viewings, when all these people came in. And what I would say about the whole Jackson family, everybody in that family, grandchildren, sisters, brothers, wife, all that were there greeting thousands of people hand in hand. I'm talking about shaking hands, hugging, kissing, holding conversations, opening up a little rope so they could get closer to the Reverend to see him inside the casket and stuff like that. And they were there from the very beginning to the very end. And then they left right after that second viewing and went to South Carolina. They drove there. And then they drove back for these 2 days of funerals here. And then Yusuf, we were having dinner that Saturday, and we were wondering if he was going to show up. Because they said, he's going to show up. Well, he might not, but he walked right on in. And like you said, what kind of juice they're giving it got to be a God juice. It was a God move, and God has allowed this family to be up and ready for their public, who they knew loved Reverend Jackson.
yes,
So
yes. Yeah, we were there for the Chicago ceremonies, and like you say, they were there to greet hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all day
right,
long, all the family, and people loved him. I mean, they needed to have those days because it was just so overwhelming. Then, of course, we were at the House of Hope, where a packed house, and captured all of that. And then, so those people who went to Selma, of course, they were part of that history going on over the weekend. And so it was two things happening simultaneously. And,
yes,
we had a chance to just see the national impact, the fact that, as you say, people, they were there at Selma, the busloads that went there, and all of those who were part of that, and then the South Carolina, that. So all of these things happening that whole week,
it was crazy.
it was just so much, and so you had to choose where you're going to be. But you were at a place that definitely needed to have been documented, and
Right,
so many people who were there. And I was surprised. I was surprised that the governor came also, which
right,
was interesting. And I think one of the things that I've seen with this governor is that he he will participate in marches and protests. He definitely is one who does not shy away from interaction with the people and causes, and stands up for justice. So
right.
here, Yusuf is here at the march with Reverend Sharpton and Governor Pritzker, Illinois Governor Pritzker, for those who don't know who the
Who
governor
he is.
is, there in a moment of prayer. So tell us about that gathering. Were people coming to Selma from across the country? How did they get there? Did they have other buses? What did you see?
Well, this right here was just prior to the march. They were kind of giving a little press conference, and so this was prior to. And I mean, it was, after this, we went to a church, and then we marched down to the site where the march was going to be. And never go without press credentials if you're going to be a part of some sort of credentials if you want to get through lines and be able to get the shots. Unfortunately, when I went through, I didn't have a, 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 a media pass, and neither there was another brother we were working together. His name was Black Tie, and we didn't have media pass, but our motto was to go in acting as if we knew what we were doing and we were supposed to be there. So we were able to really get through most things. But when it came to the march, we couldn't get through the barriers. So what I had to do was go to the end of the march and work my way up through the crowd to get to the gate before the march started. And, and thank God for people, because I told them what I was doing, and they moved out the way for me to get through and be in the front so I could run across the bridge and catch them as they started the march, because that's what I wanted to do, was at least be able to see them do that. And that was a journey because, they wanted you to stay on certain places. So I had to maneuver myself to get to where I needed to be. And Black Tie happened to be a part of a fraternity that was maintaining the crowd, so he was able to get credentials to come in and fly his drone and get good shots and stuff like that. But everybody in the crowd was people who had been there before, who came from all over the country to be a part of this. They all had on different T-shirts, maybe different ones from different times. A lot of them had good trouble signs, with the late great John Lewis. And it was just a really great celebration of freedom and marching and future and stuff like that. So it was good. And what's really funny, I was going across the bridge, and I looked at this person's face, and they looked at me, and it was a person that I had met on a line. He had called me. He was in prison in Sing Sing. And what happened was I helped write letters to help get him out and stuff like that. He was a part of the Innocent Project, but I hadn't seen him since he was released. And there he was right there on that bridge. So the guy puts you in certain places.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about the people who were there who may not have learned this history in school, and how did some of
like me
younger people how did some of the people respond who didn't know anything about this? So we'll be right back after this. And if you want to make your comments, you can feel free to comment. And of course, if you want to call in and ask some questions, you can give us a call, 727-731-5192. Our phone lines are open, and we want to hear from you. We'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back in a moment. We're going to greet our global family watching from all around the world. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom.
In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the On Air Radio Network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too as we look back at a powerful moment in history, a moment that many had not heard about. You know, some of the uglier moments in American history, they don't talk about in school because it's really horrific. The fact that state troopers physically beat people bloody, crossing a bridge, marching for their rights, and the fact that that brutal event transformed the civil rights movement by touching the hearts of those who may have been sitting on the sidelines, but after seeing that horrific attack, whites, blacks, all kinds of people came to Selma to take a stand. So that particular event is called Bloody Sunday, and it is commemorated every year. And our own dear Valerie Goodloe, photojournalist, was there to capture it for all times. So we're grateful that you were there. Now, you know, I've read some accounts of where the governor at the time, I believe it was Governor Wallace, he made the excuse that he had the state troopers beat the people in order to protect them from the other people that
themselves.
That was stupid. A beating is a beating. I mean, how you beat some people? Oh, well, I was protecting you from violence.
Well, you know, I mean, if you look back, I mean, even look back at just not long ago, maybe a year, there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, who said that they saved us from ourselves and slavery and stuff like that, helped us be who we are today. You know, so we've been they've been trying to convince us for years that whatever we do, we should be grateful for the beatings. We should be grateful that we were slaves. We should be grateful that we were in the situations that we're in. Because look where we are now. Look where you are now, people. Quit complaining. Quit bitching. You know what I mean? Just live your life in this what
gratitude
we have
for what we've done for
what
you.
we have taken as middle class. They say that we're middle class. We make $50,000 a year. We've arrived. We got middle class, and here you talk about real middle class people make $150,000. We've been hoodwinked into thinking that $50,000 a year is a great thing, you know. So these marches, these commemorations, and all these things should be eye openers. Should be eye openers to that it's not changed much from how it was then. That there may be another Bloody Sunday that comes up. That there may be not a commemoration of a march going across, but something that we really have to march across to continue the fight of having equal rights, civil rights, human rights, equal rights, all these things. You know, we still don't have it. And we've been told that we have, as they take down commemorative things to show our struggle in the past. All these things are trying to be stripped from who we are and what we've done and what we've accomplished. And maybe we'll walk across that bridge that next time and say, oh no, you ain't taking this down no more. You are not going to take away our history. You're not going to close our books. You ain't going to take away our schools. And you're not going to continue to make us feel that we're not supposed to be a part of this country that we built. We built this country. This country is built on our backs. Yeah. So maybe there'll be another Bloody Sunday.
Well, I see that the shirts that this group is wearing is Bridging Memory to Mandate, and of course with Reverend Jackson's symbolic photo there. Now, was this the group from Minnesota?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The CARE group, and CARE again is CAIR. It stands for
I can't remember what it
I
stands
look it
for,
up because
but
I
it's a
get information from them all the time. I look it up. But, I know that they were very active in protesting ICE in Minnesota, as you said. And I'm glad that there is an alliance happening because those who stand for justice must stand together. And that's one of the legacies of the civil rights movement, and that it attracted people who were fighting for justice, fighting for peace, fighting for fairness, and the alliance. And that's one of the hallmarks of the Rainbow Push Coalition. It's a coalition of all of these freedom fighters so that we may never again have to endure a bloody Sunday. But
right.
definitely the attitudes are still there in certain places where people are resistant to having people who believe in fairness. So I'm grateful that our governor, the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, was present, and there he is
Right.
with Yusuf Jackson, who've just done an amazing job. Like I say, I don't know what kind of energy drinks that family has, but they just go nonstop. They went nonstop.
God
One
juice.
city to the next, one activity to the next, didn't miss a beat.
No,
And
nothing. Didn't miss
all the way up
miss
to the
anything.
climax of the ceremony at House of Hope and Selma and everything. And this is the legacy that Reverend Jackson left, is that you must live a life of service. And this is what they've done, and it's a powerful statement. And of course, and the On Air Daily News, you can go to onairdailynews.com. We've captured all of the events, and certainly with your reports and Selma and House of Hope and the very moving tributes that the children made, and so many others that were there. And of course, Stevie Wonder with
He said what he needed to say.
yes.
Yeah.
So this really helps us look back and take a look at where we were and where we are now. We do have a number of elected officials, people that have run for office and have won. We have a number of Muslims that have run for office and won in various states. And this signals that there has been triumph. What are some of your feelings as you saw some of the older historic figures that were there and marched, and some of the youth that were there that may not have lived during those times but are now today's activists? What were some of the thoughts that crossed your mind? I see the sign, "It's about us." I like that one. Yes.
One of the things that we did while we were here, we went to and saw a film, and it was about voting. They had a big old bus, and they went all across, probably closer to the East Coast, and had events to ensure that people would come out to vote. And they really talked about the importance of voting. Right now, we're in a situation that we really do have to make our voice heard. And young people nowadays think that their voice is not relevant, that what they say doesn't matter. If they vote, it's not going to count. But what is the message now is that everybody must vote. And if you want your voice heard, if you want to change the dynamics of what's going on in your community, in the world, that you have to be a part of this process. You cannot just sit back and not vote. So the whole theme really for this time was everybody had on those shirts, and it was really to bring out the vote, to bring people to recognize the importance of their voices being heard. And I think young people now are really getting into the point of being active and making their voices heard, because those Muslims, young, the ones that you saw were like Priska, they're pretty young. And if you listen to their conversation, you would not know where, you would think they just came from United States. So they've been here for a while. And so it's trying to be putting on the news that they only been here like 2 days or something like that. And what are they doing here? They're taking over, the Somalis are taking over the country or something like that. And all they're trying to do is live and have part of this dream like everybody else. So they were very vocal. They all talked about voting, the importance of it. And they had some things that happened at Brown Chapel or Brown Church where they had lawmakers that came and talked about the importance of what we need to do if we're going to change the dynamics of this country, because who we have in office right now is really trying to roll it back. And they talked about making America great again. What is that? It's not for the majority of people. It's for, people who have billions of dollars. So the significance was more of a cry out to, we have to start getting busy. We have to start doing that if we're going to see, if we don't want to see our rights and stuff taken away. And was about immigration as well, ensuring that people who come here from this country are able to come in and get a part of this dream that was really opened up to immigrants. And that's a part of what one of these amendments is about. It didn't have anything to do with just civil rights. It was immigrant rights, whether it was a process of coming in legally and being a part of this country. Immigrants, this is a melting pot country. This country here is built of everybody, so that was the theme of that bridge, I think, this time.
And that makes a very powerful statement, given the difference of opinion about the whole immigrant question. We're going to take another break and come back. I want to talk about that, the perception of some people being outsiders and the fear that some people have about immigrants and how that's kind of distorted what the whole purpose of America was for. So we'll talk about that when we come back. And if you're listening online, want to join this conversation, you can give us a call at 727-731-5192, because we want to hear from you. And feel free to write in your comments. We'll share them with our viewing audience. We're talking to photojournalist Valerie Goodloe as she gives her reflections on that historic commemoration of Bloody Sunday. We'll be right back after this quick break, so stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment, so stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Leaders of nonprofits empowering worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
And we are back. You are watching the Female Solution Global broadcast. I'm Naima Latif with our guest today, Valerie Goodloe, who covered the 61st commemoration of Bloody Sunday. It happened there in Selma, Alabama. And so many people had never heard of that event. And yet it marks how some elected officials were handling the protests. It was state troopers that beat those people back in 1965. And even today, we have federal officials, ICE agents, that are coming to sometimes snatch people out of their homes, snatch children out of schools, just horrific things. And there's some people who are saying, well, this is what needs to happen because these immigrants are taking over. So how do you feel about some of the things you've heard said, and how does that even impact you and those that you know? Some of those from the Muslim community that are here, have been here, maybe this might be second generation, and yet the stereotype, these people are outsiders, they're dangerous, they're terrorists, all these kind of things. How have you responded to some of that thinking?
And that's a hard one. That's a very hard topic. It's been a part of being a hard topic for years and years and years. What are we going to do about immigration? What about people that are just coming across the border and committing crimes and doing horrific things? And there are people that are doing that from all over the world that are coming across this border and doing horrific things. But I would say probably the majority of people, as they say, just want to come over here and have a good life. The government has made it impossible for people to come over here legally, so people do what they have to do. It's just any kind of thing that you try to do, you want to do legally, and they don't have any open doors. They don't have any access. They don't give you the things that you need to do that. Then people do what they have to do. You're talking about people, including us, that have to do things in order to survive in this country. We don't have all the benefits that maybe other groups have. So in regards to immigrants coming over here, I feel like an immigrant. There are things that I have to do in order to survive in this country. So I understand the plight, and I understand what we have to do in regards to immigration. We do have to fix those laws that they ain't fixed. As far as I'm concerned, I think that anybody who hasn't broken the law, who's here, they should have an amnesty program, because you're not going to send people back. That's not happening. So we have to find a way to make things right.
Absolutely.
We had to make things right. And with this administration, who's getting ready to try to call off elections and try to be a president for the third time, he's trying to make it impossible for anybody coming from anywhere else, and for people who were here and brought over in boats to till this land. He's trying to do something about us as well. So we have to join forces. It's just real clear that we have to join forces against that administration and what they're after. If you listen to the little press secretary they got, she don't miss a beat. She is dangerous. You listen to her and she sounds like she knows exactly what she's talking about, and she's talking straight out of the mouth of something that's not right. So we have work to do. And if it means another bloody Sunday, then maybe that's what we had to do.
One of the things that I look at is that those who protest generally, they have been in the spirit of Dr. King in terms of the idea of you must change the hearts of people. Because how many times can you go to war before everybody self-annihilates? We look at
right.
the war that was started, instigated with Iran. That's how, you can't. How are you thinking you're going to drop bombs, kill school children, and during the holy month of Ramadan, and not enrage the 2 billion Muslims all around the world? So
and not expect something to happen.
Not expect some type of retaliation, which is what instigates more war.
Right.
So the spirit of those who are calling for peace have to dominate those that are agitating conflict. And ultimately, you have to awaken the masses to decide to not allow misguided leadership to cause us to fight against and among each other when we are not the problem. There's enough to share on this earth for everybody. There's no reason for war. There's no reason for violence. And those who keep trying to instigate violence are doing that because they are benefiting. And when we awaken and realize that, we will stop choosing to be used in these wars for other people's financial gain. And there were thousands that protested ICE in Minneapolis. And, of course, we've covered this in our on-air daily news, as well as those who are continuing to organize and help people see the real issue, which isn't immigrants coming over and taking over, because they've kicked out people, and now those who were like the fruit pickers and other essential parts of the economy are gone, and they realize, okay, if there's nobody to pick the fruit and it rots on the ground, then we can't eat, and the grocery prices go up. So we're all interconnected. Therefore, it doesn't make any sense to harm any, the criminals that have been here all this time. They're still here. So why are you kicking out people talking about we're getting rid of criminals? If you were really going to get rid of criminals, you would have gotten rid of the reason for crime, which, as you said, people are forced to try to do things in order to survive, as opposed to just having a system where everybody is given access to the resources they need to live.
So I did a film, and it's called Love Is Not Enough. And there was a quote that I put in there that was almost like 200 years ago. And it says, where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither person nor property will be safe. I mean, so you look at a person stuck into a barrel, or you stuck into a situation with that knee is on that neck for years and centuries, and then you expect nothing to happen. You don't expect somebody to rise up. And I mean, whether it's a peaceful march or it's wild chaos. I mean, the thing is that the powers that be have put this and set this into motion. So now we're at kind of like a crossroads. We have 3 whole more years of this regime.
So this has to be a time to organize and envision the way we want the world to go, because it's not just enough to be against something. You have to be for something. You have to decide, this is how we're going to plan the future. This is how we're going to organize the systems of commerce and trade so that they're fair. This is how we're going to organize our education system so everybody has access to a skill that can enable them to earn a living. This is how we're going to organize our relations with countries overseas. The people can decide that. And that's one of the things that I'm grateful about the internet, is that we can talk to each other around the world. We don't have to go through other channels of authority that paint a skewed picture. When we talk to people in other countries and ask them exactly what's going on, whether it's Burkina Faso or China or Japan or Korea or Liberia. I mean, we've had guests on from all these different countries that can just tell us what is really happening from the people's perspective, so that we're not brainwashed by propaganda to fear each other.
Well, one of the things I think that when you go to other countries, you find out people love the country that they're in. That they don't, I mean, everybody don't want to come to America. Everybody don't want to be an American. So we had to get that out of our head, that someone's trying to take something that's ours and it's not theirs. Most people that are from certain countries or different countries want to be exactly where they are. They have no want to change their culture, their desires, how they live, and all that. So first, I think one of the things that we have to, if we could put money into oil wells and all the other stuff that's tearing up this earth, how come we can't put money into the countries where other people leave that need the assistance so they don't have to leave? Why can't we help them build up their own countries? So what they need is where they are. I went to Costa Rica. I went to Costa Rica for the first time in, South American country, below the border. And it was just amazing. And the streets were clean. Everybody was friendly. And they wanted to be where they were. And when you ask them about coming, they don't want to come to America. They want to be in their own homeland. So my whole thing is if you want to be where you are, then we need to help you be able to live there comfortably. If you're going to start wars, what Trump is doing and all what's going on is not the way to do it. I think we need to help our neighbors, and he's trying to break those bridges down where we won't have no neighbors by the end of 3 years. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but again, Bloody Sunday was more of a commemorative thing and a call to action that we do have to do something if we're going to change these dynamics in this country, for sure.
Well, that's the thing. It was definitely a call to action. And I guess the question is, what action are people focusing on that is going to change the trajectory that's set in motion? I know they talked about voting. Were there some of the other things that they spoke about, and what were some of the things that some of the other leaders spoke about, such as Reverend Sharpton? I mean, people looking to him now, it's like, okay, you're one of the voices. Michael Eric Dyson, see, he was there. What are some of the voices of leadership saying that our agenda should be from this point on?
Well, and I'm gonna be honest about this. When I'm shooting in my focus is more on is capturing it rather than really focusing on maybe what they're saying, unless I was video, filming it. Being a still photographer is a little different. But again, it all was talking about changing the administration. And how do we change that? We change it through voting. Voting right now is probably the top of the list on what we can do to change what's going on in this country. We have to get those people out. Now, to get those people out, you have to almost want to have some of them, which they're learning that maybe Trump's way is not the best way. So what we had to do is maybe be more, instead of being all over the place with our policies and where we are and not really knowing what is a Democrat, that we have to narrow it down and be more defined. And what do we really want for this country and for the people who are in it? So do we want sherbet ice cream, or sherbet, or do we want milk, or do we want this and want that? Maybe we need to kind of like make a decision together on what is the most important thing that we want. And be solid in who we are as so-called Democrats. We have work to do these next 3 years. We have to be able to find that person who is going to be capable and able to run across that line and become the president. We have to find that person first. Who is he?
Yes.
Who's the one who's going to run? What is his policies? What is he looking at as his agenda? Who does he have behind him? Is it all over the place, or has he really taken on the focus of one main thing that all Americans want and really fight for that? I think that the agenda I think we need to not be so far to the left, not far to the right. I think we need to find a middle ground here and really focus on that to change our dynamics. And I kind of heard that even in some of the speeches and the things that people were saying, that we had to find that focus, and we have to vote. We can complain about that. We can complain about this person who's in office, but if we ain't doing nothing,
it won't change.
It ain't gonna change. No.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna take one last break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at maybe some of the main issues that we as a collective should focus on. And we've got a call on the line we'll get to as soon as we come back after this last break. So we want you all stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back more with photojournalist Valerie Goodloe, who covered the 61st commemoration of Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama. And there were many who traveled down to Selma for this historic occasion. So we'll be right back.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
It does not cost to live. The earth gives us everything we need for absolutely free. So why are we paying? Because we haven't learned to simply share. With service, you can get everything you need without spending any money, and you'll live life abundantly. Service, sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. Start living the good life now. Go to www.theserviceonline.org.
And we are back for our last few minutes with Valerie Goodloe. We've got a caller on the line. I believe it is Andrew Nelson Bay. Go right ahead. Your mic is open. Please give us your question for our guest, Valerie Goodloe. Go right ahead.
I can't hear him.
Candace Owens. She would make an excellent vice president with Donald J. Trump in 2028.
Okay, all right.
So
Candace Owens, you say, is someone that you would support for office, you say?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to be elected president of Cook County Board in 2030.
Okay.
And Elijah Muhammad, in point number 4, what the Muslims want, spoke of a state or territory of our own, and that is Chicago Territory, Illinois Republic. Chicago Territory is comprised of all of Cook County plus Pembroke Township in Kankakee County, Illinois. And that's the state or territory. President Farrakhan's looked at Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. These are U.S. states. Chicago Territory is all of Cook County plus Pembroke Township in Kankakee County, Illinois, which is
Okay, so now we know that when it comes to voting, we have to be strategic and know where our boundaries are. And there are those who are Trump supporters. We had a guest on a few weeks ago of Sister who pointed out some of the positive things that she felt this president represents economically. And there are specific policies that some people have identified as Republican or Democrat, but actually, and there's this quote, I can't remember the exact words that Reverend Jackson made in one of his speeches. He said, baby doesn't cry in Republican or Democrat. So some policies are just human. So now our caller, of course, is a Trump supporter, and there are those who are. But I think it's policies that we're looking at that we need to focus on what people actually stand for, as you said. So Valerie, what do you think are some policy issues, regardless of the label of what the person's running under? What policy issues should we be looking for to support in this next election?
Whew. I think that's a hard one, and I really can maybe say some things I want personally, but I think it has to be more of a collective want. What do we want here in America? We talk about economics. He said that I think a lot of people went to Trump because he said that he was going to economically change the dynamics here, where this would be the land of milk and honey, and everyone would be able to eat and have good jobs and all this. That has been proven not to be true. And those are the things that we do want. We want to be able to raise our families. We want to be able to have the violence interrupted, which he did stop the money flowing in that was really geared towards stopping the violence or curbing the violence. So I think we want to be able to have something really address those things. The violence is here in this country, and it's not just in Chicago, it's all over the country. I think that even with immigration, we had to be real about this, that that there has to be a immigration system that's going to be fair and just to not just ones that are trying to come across the border from all areas, whatever border it is, but there's a process that allows the people who have been here to be able to come out of the woodwork and to be able to be a part of this country legally. Sometimes, again, like I said, you got to do things in a way that you don't want to make stuff happen in your life. So we have to fix the immigration system, so that's another thing that has to be done. And those are things that, again, I don't think we really addressed appropriately. And so they went to the other side. I think even when it comes to women's rights and abortions and stuff like that, I think that we're not as liberal as we may claim to be as being Democrats. And I think a lot of went to the other side because there was way too much focus on the rights to have an abortion more than really the rights to be a woman, the rights to be human.
Have a healthy baby.
Right.
To have good health care so that your child can survive.
So I think we have to redirect. We have to redirect our message. What is our message? It can't just be all over the place, So if we're gonna have to get those people that went over to Trump. We're gonna have to get them to come to this side. Otherwise, we're gonna lose again. We have to get the majority. I mean, he swept everything. So what is that saying? He had Muslims.
He did.
That voted for him. He had Black people that voted for him because his message was real simple. It didn't have a whole lot of stuff to it. But so our message has to be not as complex as it was. Not saying to make it simple, but make it achievable. We have to have an achievable agenda if we're going to take this, because he's talking about being the third, going in again. And there is a way for him to become president again.
Well, if there's a war, just like what happened with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you don't change leadership in the middle of a war, but supposedly because you have to maintain consistency.
Right. So he's building up for that. He is building up to stay in that White House. He's built a little ballroom that's bigger than the house. So he is not planning on moving. He got a gigantic airplane now that he could do all kind of stuff in. So he's not planning on leaving. So what are we gonna do?
So we, the people who run this country, we have to be wise enough to say, no, your time is up. You're 80 plus. Not to be ageist, but there is a time to leave leadership, and so therefore, like you
got to
said,
change the laws.
We need to hear from someone who is running, and like you say, they need to have a clear message, very basic. What do human beings want? They want the right to live in peace. They want the right to be able to work and have the dignity of their labor earn a
Exactly.
living. They want their children to be raised in safety and security. And that's very basic. And if whoever says they will do that, people will flock to them. Doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat, because human beings all basically want the same thing.
Exactly. We have to narrow our focus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to narrow our focus and have our eye. I mean, it's been said over the years, have our eye on the prize. What is the prize? We can't have a bunch of prizes all over here. What is the main prize that we want? What is it?
Absolutely.
You know, and focus on that.
That is it. Well, thank you so much for bringing your focus with your photography and giving us some history that we can have from now until on and on into the future, so that next generation after generation will understand what happened and their responsibility to take us to the next level of where we need to go.
You're right about that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much, Valerie Goodloe. And to see her documentation, you can go to it. Is your website is
well, this Wednesday coming up at Logan Center over at the university, there's going to be a screening of the film Love Is Not Enough. If anybody wants to come out and see that, I think it's 6:00 on the 18th. So if anybody wants to see that, and I'm working on other films. In fact, let me say this quickly. When I was there, I wanted to do something in regards to Reverend Jackson, and I wanted it not to be political but personal. So I'm putting together a little film right now. There's some interviews I got there of Reverend Jackson and who he meant to the people as a person, not as a politician.
Yes. And I think that people can appreciate that, because there was so much to learn being in the presence of his family during this event. And I think for those who did not experience him when he was here among us, that film will be very much appreciated. And of course, you graced us before with your discussion of Love Is Not Enough. Y'all want to go to onairdailynews.com, and you can, under the arts entertainment section, you can see that interview with Valerie Goodloe and anticipate the very powerful film Love Is Not Enough. And again, to tell us the when and where that's going to be screened.
At the Logan Center, right off 60th, and not far from Cottage Grove in the university building. I'll send you the flyer. Yeah, and you can send it out.
We'll make sure we give you all an opportunity to see that film. Very powerful, and definitely it makes you think and realize love is not enough. A lot more that we need to do if we want to transform lives. So thank you very, very much for being a life transformer with your photo skills. And we've got some last comments we're going to say vote, vote, vote. Deborah.
Yeah, vote.
Reminding us that is the key, and says thank you for all of your works. Peace and love. Thank you.
Thank
Deborah.
you. Thank you, Miss Sister.
Yes, Deborah, who is our third Saturday of the month host here, does a great travel show, and we got to be able to travel and feel safe in the world. So who we put in that White House makes a difference. Yes. Well, thank you so much. We've got to go, and we want you to come on back tomorrow, of course, the Female Solution Global Broadcast, to hear Master Force with Mushamsut, and again in the evening. And of course, you can join us for tonight. We'll talk about service and what we can do to empower ourselves economically. no matter what you have or what you do. We'll be back again next week on the Female Solution Global broadcast. And until that time, we want you to continue to shine your light. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.